Six guys.
Shut up, I'm gonna phone Robbie.
You left me for somebody else. Now I left me for somebody else.
Shut up, I'm gonna phone Robbie.
Hey Queen, my name is Ilona and I'm the owner of Yes Queen magazine. In today's video, I'm interviewing Tiyanna Washington. She's the owner and founder of TSpeaks NYC, and I'm gonna let her introduce herself and tell you a little bit about what she does and who she is.
Thank you for having me. I'm Tiyanna Washington. Folks online might know me as TSpeaks NYC. I am a licensed social worker based in New York City, and my company partners with youth nonprofits and youth organizations to bring the message of mental health and wellness awareness for young girls and young women of color. I conduct workshops, I do public speaking, all centered around things that we know young people go through, right? Bullying, self-esteem, body image, how to build their confidence, how to find the words for things that they might be experiencing, but not quite sure what it is, right? I'm having a hard time sleeping at night. I didn't realize this was part of anxiety. Now here are the tools and resources that I can use to help myself to kind of navigate. So that's what my company is grounding in, really giving back to young women and young girls of color to give them a voice to things that we know they experience.
I love that. I love that so much.
So after Tiyanna introduced herself, I told her about how important I thought her work was. And when I think about the work that she does, it reminds me of my daughter. My daughter's a teen, and teens nowadays, they need them a Tiyanna. So here's what she had to say about that.
Kudos to you, because raising a teenager now is not like it was before, okay? There's so many new pressures out there, things that they are experiencing that they tell me about that I know I did not experience. And I always tell them, I say, look, we are not that far apart in age, okay? But it's crazy, like as we span generations, the difficulties that they are trying to manage. And if we're being honest, a lot of times, they're not talking to their parents or their family members about what it is that they're experiencing. So what do? They go to their friends who really are in the same situations and don't really know much, or they keep it inside. And that's when we start to see a lot of these symptoms manifest and internalize in ways that they really don't have to if they had the right individual come along and say, hey, I know this thing that you're experiencing, let's talk about it. Let's unpack that. So kudos to you for the work that you're doing with your daughter, because I know, yeah, teenage life right now is different. It's different.
Totally different.
It's different. It's very different.
And then having to unlearn the things that you were raised with, and unlearning and raising a child at the same time. That's a whole nother level of mental, I don't even know what to call it.
Mental strength, mental capacity. Talk about it, because we grew up learning certain things, right? To your point, certain patterns, certain ideologies, principles, but sometimes those very things might not be the most helpful with our parenting skills or our parenting lifestyle, especially when you think about the way that things have changed with our young people. You can't necessarily apply what our parents were doing 10, 15, 20 years ago and applying it to today. It doesn't always work out the same way, but it can also be really difficult unlearning some of that stuff. It's like I'm doing my own work for myself as I'm trying to parent my daughter or my child. And that's why I really take a lot of pride in my company, because it's a holistic type of view, right? So we have some old school ideologies in there, but then we got some new school ideologies in there too. And it's the perfect blend of mental health and wellness, and how those two come together, and how they really help our young people put voice to what they are seeing, what they are experiencing, and giving them the tools to take home. because it's not enough for me to just do a 45-minute or an hour workshop with an organization and think that the years of what they have experienced is all of a sudden going to be fixed in this one workshop. My workshops are amazing, but we also have to be realistic, right? But if I can give them supplemental resources that they can take home and even provide resources for their families, whether it's via worksheets, videos, tutorials, then it helps to kind of bridge the gap a bit further. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. This is so good. I almost don't even want to get into the question. Like, let's just keep talking.
As y'all can see, Tiyanna is dropping some gems. It's interviews like this that mean the most to me. You can tell that she really understands her work and she's on a mission and she's attacking that mission with everything that she does. So I encourage you to continue to watch this interview. Get a piece of paper and a pen, write down some things that you might hear her say that you can use. Not only does she understand her work, she understands the people that she works with, and that's extremely important.
So TSpeaks NYC, it is a mental health and wellness program specifically dedicated to young women and young girls of color. And what we do is help to raise awareness about mental health and wellness and how that applies to their everyday life and everyday struggles that we know young women unfortunately face. And how TSpeaks NYC does that, I partner a lot with youth organizations in the area. They might reach out to me from a referral. They might see my work online. I might reach out to them if I love the work that they do, because sometimes folks say, well, how can we get in contact with you? How do folks find you? Social media is a beautiful, beautiful thing. To be honest, that is where a majority of my partnerships have come from. And when folks go to my website or my page, they'll be able to see it. But I partner with these organizations and they might say to me, example, we have a group of young women who are struggling with self-esteem and confidence issues. Or we might have a group of young women that are struggling with self-harm and suicidal ideations. And we need for you to come in and to do a workshop with them. And then I come in and I do what I do. I, tell the young people that I come in with, because, as a young person, it's your job to, seem too cool or not interested, low energy. So sometimes I'll come in and they'll give me like the faces, but by the time our workshops get off the ground, it's like they are able to really take off their mask and really say, wow, I feel seen. I feel heard. She is talking my language. She gets it. And in doing so, helps them to really unpack and unlayer a lot of what they keep pent up inside, a lot of what they may have been internalizing. So when I used to be in schools and some of my teachers would come to me and say, oh, this student is always causing a ruckus, or this student just is never wanting to do his or her work, I say to them, who is your child outside of the work? Who is the child outside of the behavior that they're bringing into the classroom? Because every behavior has a root cause. You can't see a behavior and just assume that a student is not doing what they're supposed to be doing because that's what they want to do. No, a lot of times there are things that are festering inside of them. And because they don't have the coping skills to really manage what they're dealing with, it manifests in a lot of different ways. So that's what TSpeaks NYC does. I partner with these amazing organizations. And then I also host events on my own. I had my first anti-bullying summit about 1.5 years ago, which was amazing. We had a group of young women come in, all who had different experiences of bullying. And now with social media, we know that the online presence of bullies is a lot different than sticks and stones on the playground, right? Things translate very different in the internet world. So in a nutshell, that's what TSpeaks NYC does. And, last thing, going back to our earlier point of knowing that one workshop is not going to be enough to solve anything, I also started to create worksheets for my organizations and for my parents and for schools. So now when I finish a workshop with an organization around affirmations and confidence building and learning how to motivate yourself, they can now go to this website and say, oh, I remember Ms. T said that there's an affirmation-based worksheet on there. Let me go ahead and print that so I can continue to do the work that we did in her workshop or that I heard her speak about. So it's a nice blend.
Yes.
Whenever they reach out, Ilana, I always tell them, like, I can do one workshop for you. I love workshops. I love talking to young people. Their energy is unmatched. Sometimes I can't keep up. I'm there like, wow, girl, every day, what? I love working with them, right? But I also tell like the directors that reach out, the COO that reaches out, I always tell them, if you can, budget it so that we are doing 3 workshops or so that it's a series of workshops. So if you're telling me that you want to do something around anxiety during the holiday season or during testing season, how can we build this in so that it's a continuation of workshops and now they have something to look forward to? A lot of times when workshop facilitators are doing workshops, they'll just, oh, one and done, this amazing organization reached out and that's it. No, how do we continue to build so that we have a long-term impact for our young people? And then if for whatever reason they're not able to build out a series of workshops with me, then I tell them they can also refer to my worksheets that I have online, and they can always go to my Instagram as well, because I'm always posting wellness related content for my community on there.
Wow, I appreciate how Tiyanna found a way to extend her services to make sure the children are getting what they need outside of school.
What are some challenges that you face when it comes to the work that you do?
Man, I think the 2 things that come to mind, capacity and stereotypes, I would say. Capacity and stereotypes, and I'll explain what I mean. Capacity meaning I'm only one person, and there are millions of young girls and women around the world that need my services. However, I can only reach out but to so many. I'm a one-woman show. I create all my content. I create all my workshops. I pride myself in when people book TSpeaks NYC, they're booking me. And they're booking me because I bring a certain energy to the workshops that I'm doing. And I that's no exaggeration. If you look at my workshops, you are literally getting energy from me. That is what I'm bringing to these young girls. It's high energy, it's high tempo, I'm in your face. That's what they're getting, right? I can only do that, but so much.
Right.
If I have, example, 10 nonprofits that are reaching out that want me to meet with their young girls over the course of a week, 2 weeks, my capacity is stretched thin. Not to mention now I have a newborn, right?
Yes,
So like it's, it can be kind of trying. So it's like sometimes I'll have to take my own advice and medicine and remind myself, like, you have to pace yourself. You have to pace yourself. You're not going to be able to meet with each and every organization. And if I'm being honest, that's how the worksheets also came about, because I was sitting down with myself and I was saying, okay, I might not be able to necessarily sit with all the folks that are wanting to reach out, but if I can still offer them some type of resource for their community, then that is at least still helping to bridge the gap somewhat. So they have a piece of me in a sense. And that's how the worksheets came about. So I think capacity is one of the biggest challenges that I run into, wanting to be everywhere at the same time, but knowing that I can't do that. So who knows, Ellen? I mean, maybe spring 22, we might have some digital courses or things coming about to really help like extend the work that I'm doing. That feels like the next logical transition and step for me. But we'll see. And on the other end, I think just like ignorant comments about the populations that I serve. from folks that might not necessarily be from our community. Example, I had someone say to me, oh, well, you know, a lot of these young women that you work with from underserved communities, my guess is that they need a lot of help. They need a lot of support. And they, a lot of them, are they in special ed? Whoa. No, they're not in special ed. Actually, a good majority of them are in gifted and talented programs. Why would that be a question that you ask? And I often, in this work, I found a lot of times when you're met with ignorance, just re-ask the question. Catch them in their own stuff, because I'm not here to educate you on your own ignorance. You're going to tell me what it is that made you feel comfortable to ask me that question. Right. And, you know, they start to stutter. Oh, well, you know, I didn't mean anything by it. I just, no, what did you mean? You know, sometimes when you say you're working with young people of color, people have these assumptions about them and about the communities that they are from. Let me tell you something. I have been in underserved communities and I have been in overserved communities that have way more resources and things like that. But I will tell you, there's so much that joins them together and so many similarities sometimes in terms of the mental health issues and problems that they are dealing with. So I always tell folks, do not assume when you hear that folks are working with communities of color that we are downtrodden and that we don't have this and we don't have that. Some of those girls are some of the most fabulous young women I have worked with. And, you know, they just need guidance, just like any other population that we work with.
The next part of this interview is extremely important because it speaks to what our children are going through right now. Not given the full opportunity to just be who we are, constantly being judged and just not having a fair shot.
I'm not here for it. Listen, I remember what it was like being that young girl and people having certain assumptions of you because of the color of your skin or the way that you speak. Like I told you, I'm a social worker by nature. I got into some of the most prestigious training programs that there is in our country. And when I was in those rooms, people would flat say to my face, oh, you got in here because of the diversity program, didn't you? No, actually, I got in because my GPA was what it needed to be. And I know my stuff and I'm highly intelligent and I'm confident in what I do. That's some of the confidence that I teach my young girls to have, because as a young woman of color, unfortunately, people are going to write you off before you even open your mouth. And on top of whatever things they might be dealing with in their own personal lives, they have to know, no. I can rise above that. I can still be firm and confident and walk in my purpose. And they're going to learn. They'll learn eventually. They'll learn.
Actually, this is exactly what my daughter is going through right now. And I constantly have to have this conversation with her to remind her, like, you know, you are not what those people are telling you that you are. And she's so intelligent. She is so bright. She is so talented. Everything that they do not expect her to be. When it comes to her being judged before anybody could even get to know her.
Oh yeah. Those things take a toll. Things people say, right? The images that they see, what they're supposed to look like. Okay, so my mom is lighter skinned and I'm a bit darker skinned than her. Does that make me less beautiful, right? Does that mean something's wrong with me? These things, people don't realize. Young people are listening. They are listening and they take those things in, okay? They take these things in, and if we are not careful, that becomes their guiding map. That becomes their internal map. Whether they say it or not, those things stay with them. And now us as their parents, as their family, as their community, we have to work twice as hard to undo what ignorance does for our young girls. Do you get what I'm saying? That's why this work is so important.
And
You
yeah.
can be the most amazing parents in the world, right? But when your baby girl goes into the real world, when she goes into school, when she's walking down the street, when she's on social media, when she's watching TV, those things start to filter into their mind.
Yep.
It does. I don't care what anyone says. And, oh, girl, that's why it's so important that we uplift them,
Yeah.
that we give them the language to use to uphold that confidence, to let them know that all shades are beautiful, right?
Yep.
Despite what folks are saying, and really doing that work with them. But it's not always easy. I'm not gonna lie. It's not always easy. It's not. I like chatting with you. This is nice.
Thank you. I'm really enjoying this, and I needed this. Outside of the interview, I needed this. I needed this. Thank you.
I love it.
So is there anything you want the people to know before we close out? It could be anything.
Connect with me. That's one. Connect with me online. A lot of folks, sometimes they'll reach out and share stories. As long as I've been doing this work, right? I've been in the field for a little over 10 years now, and every day you learn something new. I don't care if you've been doing this work for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. Times change and people change. And when folks reach out to connect with me, I learned through them. I learned from these principals, from these teachers, from parents, from young people that connect with me. And I don't take that for granted. So I always tell folks, don't be shy, connect with me, share your story, even just to say hello. Outside of that, know the importance of this work, right? Remember what it was like to be a teenager. We hear that all the time. Remember what it was like to be a teenager. How much more helpful would it have been if you had someone that was able to help guide, encourage, and motivate you on that journey, especially as it relates to your mental health and your wellness. I always say a lot of the adults that we see today that might be difficult to communicate with or are having their own struggles is a result of unresolved things in their childhood or in their teenage years. If we had the right person come along to really help us, it would make all the world a difference. So I would say if you see a young person today, tell them that they're beautiful. Tell them how intelligent they are. Compliment them on a skill set that you've seen them do. Wow, you did an amazing job solving that problem. I never would have been able to solve that on my own so quickly. How smart are you? That 1 minute of acknowledgement and really seeing that young person can make a world of difference for them. I had a student when I was working in this junior high school that reached out that's getting ready to start college. Let me not show my age. I have a student, there's a student that I used to work with. And she reached out the other day just to let me know she was going into her sophomore year. And she was like, Miss T, I'm actually pursuing psychology. I was like, that's amazing. I'm like, in school, I didn't know that that's something that you were interested in. And she said, no, she said, I wasn't. But when I was going to school and you were our counselor, you helped me in ways that you didn't even realize. I had never had a Black woman who was my counselor before. And I never had someone speak so much love and confidence. And I used to wonder why you were so energetic at 7:30 in the morning when you would see us. She said you had almost too much energy, but coming to school, you gave me something to look forward to. I knew that no matter what morning or night I had before, when I come to school, Miss T is gonna be there and she's gonna say, today's gonna be an amazing day. Tell me how you're gonna make today great. I'm gonna see you at the end of today, right? And you're gonna be awesome. Just speaking that into them. And she made me tear up because you're doing this work and you're just doing it because you do it, right? You do it because you love it. And you do it in a way sometimes where you forget that they're watching you. Yeah. You forget the impact that you're having. And she said, I want to pursue psychology because I want to be able to do that for someone else someday. I said, girl, if you don't get off my phone, let me get this box of Kleenex and just wipe these tears, okay? Mm-hmm. Just, it makes the work worthwhile for me. Oh, this is cute. Yeah, I'm going to tag you in this. All right, you ready?
Yes.
Go. Yes. Perfect. I'm gonna tag you in this. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Oh,
this is awesome.
Yes.
This is awesome.
I really, really enjoyed this. So thank you.
All right, love. Listen, have a great weekend.
You too.
It was so nice chatting with you.
Yes. You too.
Bye.
Bye.